Well, tonight the death toll in the mountains of eastern Kentucky remains at 37. Several people are still missing after torrential rains unleashed historic flooding in Appalachia. 17 of those who died, including 4 children, were from Knott County. That is where NBC 15's Darwin Singleton grew up and lived before moving to Mobile more than 30 years ago. Tonight he gives us a personal look at the devastation in a place he still calls home.
Being in front of this camera and showing you video of a disaster somewhere in America is nothing new. There's a natural disaster somewhere in America every day. And after sharing hundreds of them with you over the past 35 years, it can become, well, somewhat routine. Routine until the pictures are familiar and personal. And that's exactly what's been happening to me over the past few days as these pictures of my native eastern Kentucky began filtering in through national media. The creeks and roads of Appalachia are real to me. I know exactly where they are and the communities through which they thread. But now, social media takes the experience one step further, removing the human filter that often chooses what we see. And that is where it gets really personal. This is Angie Ritchie, who lives at the mouth of Clear Creek, where I grew up. This historic wood and stone house had never been flooded to my knowledge, not even close. But it did this time, almost to the first floor ceiling. Angie's trying to clean up, but she says she doesn't know if she'll ever be able to move back in. Summer days were spent wading in this creek, fishing for crawdads and minnows. My mind still cannot accept that it became big enough and swift enough to carry away houses, cars, and yes, people. In the dark of night, within a few short hours, enough rain fell to turn nearby Troublesome Creek into a deadly river. There were as many as 6 houses here, all of them gone before many of those who lived in them were able to get out. And a helicopter water rescue in my creek, that's impossible. It's seldom, if ever, above my knees. But that night, it was, and then some. And at the animal shelter in nearby Hazard, I recognized my own sister directing efforts to gather up animals left homeless and alone. It doesn't get much more familiar or personal than that. Hurricanes have taught me disasters are intensely personal, but with so many disasters happening so often, it's easy to lose sight of that until that disaster is your own. Darwin Singleton, NBC 15 News.